there, welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuk with Queen Bee Creations. Thanks for joining me today. I recently did a video where I just did some cork ornaments. I was playing around in the shop and I thought that I'd share with you. It's been a very popular video and people have requested more. So I have a number of other ideas that I'm going to share with you. I'm going to pull you in overhead so you can see them as we go through them, but they are all pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and pretty cute. So let's jump in and get started on these ones. If you didn't catch the other video, I will try and link to it so you can see how to make those other animals. So really cute. Lion and dog and giraffe and birdhouse, that kind of thing. Today, I wanted to start off with a deer, moose, antlers, one of those. So for Christmas. So we are going to need 2 full corks. I took another 2 corks and cut them in half lengthwise. So now we're at 4 corks for this. And then I took another cork, cut it in half, right? So cut it in half. There you go, just to prove. And then I took one of the pieces and cut it in half. So to start with, I'm going to grab my hot glue gun. I want to take that little partial piece of cork and I want to glue it down onto what in essence will be the body. And then I'm going to put some glue on the top of that because I want to glue the head on. So I wanted to have a bit of a neck, but a full cork would just make him too long. So we've got him like this, and ultimately we're going to take our front and back corks. So I get some glue on each of these. Lord, I need a new glue gun. This is awful. It just drips everywhere. It's just really sad. And I'm just going to kind of hold those in place a little bit while they set up. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the back. And this is kind of the same sort of beginning to a lot of different animals, right? You could do a horse this way. You could, you know, kind of use this as the basis for a number of things. But I thought it'd be fun for us to do maybe a deer or reindeer, as the case may be. So there we go. Now we're going to be hanging these so that we can use them as an ornament on our Christmas tree as the others, but you can just do them that they're just like this, right? If you're doing any of the animals, that they just sit perfectly well and just stay upright. Now, I do have little pieces of cork that I have cut off of other projects, and we'll get to one where I'm cutting a lot of little slivers off. So I'm just going to take kind of a little pointy end off of each of those. Just a little thinner slice. And I am going to give them a cut. Well, that just didn't want to cut nicely for me, did it? All right, I'm ditching that one. Let me try this one. I just want something vaguely ear-shaped. No, this guy's going to be too wide compared to the other ear. All right, so don't get rid of any of those little pieces that you carve off because they can all be used for all the little bits and bobs of things. I didn't run and check, but I'm pretty sure that deer have some kind of ears. There we go. And I am going to need eyes, but what I did do was I took a piece of felt, brown felt, and I just roughly cut out antlers. So I did cut it out this way so that I didn't have to do it mega times. But I thought that might be the easiest way to get the distinctive antlers up there. We have the little ears sticking out. Alrighty. And then we need some eyes, of course. Now you could draw on your eyes if you want. You could use little push pins kind of cut off and stuck in there. Whatever. If you saw me the last time, I was constantly burning my fingers because I couldn't be bothered racing over and grabbing glue. And one of the viewers was kind enough to say, why don't you just dab glue on there? And they were right, and I should have, and I was being lazy. So I did remember this time. Let me get that little piece out of there. All right, I did go looking. I realized I don't really have red pom-poms, but this pack seems to have way in the bottom, maybe one little red pom-pom that is going to be bigger of a nose than perhaps I might have wanted had I had a choice. But he's going to be Rudolph. So we've got him. I'm going to give him just for the sake of it because I think it drove people crazy last time. I wasn't necessarily giving everybody a tail. And I know they have some kind of tail, so I'm just attaching a little bit of jute here. That's probably longer than it needs to be. So he's got a little bit of a tail. And because he's going to be for Christmas and he's going to be an ornament, I am going to take, I want it to be longer than his head. So that will maybe do. I am going to take some string and I am going to glue it down more toward the neck because that is where kind of more of the center of gravity is going to be for this guy. So just to avoid burning my fingers like crazy, let me glue that down in there. And because we don't want it to be unsightly and we do want him for Christmas, I am going to grab just a little bit of greenery here. So a couple of little sprigs. And we're just going to glue those down there as well. And that will cover up my string. And then I'll just grab a couple of little berries. Let me just snip these off. And we'll just add those in as well. But I want that string attached to the back of the neck so that ultimately, let me hold it in place, he will hang like this. And then there is our little reindeer. Now, this next one, we are going to start with a champagne cork because we want it kind of fat. And these are just little slices of a regular cork. So I've taken the regular cork and I just take my box cutter and I just carefully slice it. And usually I get about 11 to 12 slices out of one cork. And I just do a bunch at once. So these little guys are going to be our ears. So I do want to, I'm just looking for the thinnest section. I do want to cut them off just a little bit so that they'll attach to our rounded cork a little bit better. Give us more of a surface area. And for this one, I actually want to narrow the nose. So I'm going to stand it upright and I'm going to begin to carve pieces away. And these pieces I keep. I hang on to them because they make great ears for other projects or extra little pieces that we need for things. So, you know, making antlers out of or tails out of or whatever we want to do. Okay, so you can see that I'm slowly kind of getting this a little bit more tapered. This is where the nose is going to be, so I still want it a little bit smoother so I can start to rough out I can get rid of some of those rougher edges a little bit and kind of carve it down a little bit more. And cork is such an easy kind of substrate to work with because it just is pretty easy to cut. We don't need a lot of force here. So I'm just kind of carving it down a little bit here. All right, that's pretty good. And just while I have my little Sharpie out, I'm just gonna color the tip. There's my nose. I'm gonna take my 2 discs. I'm gonna put glue on the flat ends, and we are going to glue our little ears on. And where do I think that looks good? And we can have those butting up so you can tell now that the ears are in place, hopefully, that this is going to be a little mouse. And I like to angle the ears slightly forward and have them butting up nice and close to one another. And then we, of course, are going to put his little eyes in here. And for this, I'm going to use googly eyes again. I don't know if there's a different name for them than googly eyes. I guess I've just always called them that since I was a kid. And I want to use the smaller size. Oh, these guys with static cling, they just stick to me like crazy. Okay, come on. There's 1, yay. And 2. Perfect. So he's pretty simple to do, but I want to add a couple of little things. First of all, unlike other animals, I mean, this guy has to have a tail. What I find, you can just glue this onto the back if you would like. What I tend to do, and here we go, is I take a big darning needle. I always string a thread through it, usually red, because my floor is gray, and if I drop them on my floor, I lose them. So this way, if I drop it anywhere, then I can find it again. So I start by just kind of carving a little bit of a hole there. And then I take an end of my string and I just put it across there. And I start using the end of my needle to just kind of start pushing it down into that hole. Okay, there we go. Now what I will do, because I want his tail to kind of maybe stick up a little bit, is I put the glue dot just a little ahead. So it's going to help anchor my tail in place. So we've got the little tail. The last piece to making this look a little more mouse-like is I want to add just a couple of little whiskers. So I have some very fine wire that somehow I'm missing the end of. I don't know that this is necessarily the end since it's coming from underneath. So I'm going to make a mess of this, but okay. We're doing what we have to do here. And I'm just going to add 4 little whiskers, 2 on each side. You can cut them a little bit longer and then trim them down to size afterwards so that you're not wondering exactly how long they have to be. And this is super pliable wire. So you can actually scrunch it up on his face or his nose or anything to make it work. Now, to help those stay in place, they're too soft to just squish in. So again, I take that needle to form a little bit of a hole. Now I leave it in until I get some glue on the end of my wire, because it's almost like the cork self-heals. As soon as you pull that out, it's like your, yeah, see, already, there we go. It's like your hole disappeared. So I tend to just leave it in until I come with my wire with a little bit of hot glue on the end so that I stand a chance of seeing where that hole was. Now, again, I'm making him so he can hang on my tree. So I am going to take a little bit of ribbon or cording, whatever you have and whatever the look. And I am going to push that in place just between his ears there. And then again, we're going to take a little bit of greenery. And he doesn't need big sprigs because he's pretty petite. And we will cover up that knot a little bit. And then I'll add just a couple of little berries as well. Make it look a little more festive. And then, he's got extra fuzz on his face there. Then we've got a cute little mouse for our tree. For this next little guy, we are going to use 1 champagne cork, 2 of our little round slices, and some of the pieces that we sliced off of our mouse. So to start, I'm going to take this long kind of skinny piece. It's kind of weird, tapers at the bottom, but it will work just fine for us. And I'm going to, at the narrow end, so we're going to use the fat end at the bottom, I am going to put that just hanging down the center of his face. And then we cut off these kind of pieces from our mouse, and I want to glue them together so that they're kind of arching upward a little bit, right? Just like this. And we're going to put some glue on the bottom, and we're going to put it right up on top. Okay, and you could, at this point, angle it a little bit more if you wanted. And then we're going to take these 2 little disc slices. I'm just going to glue one edge of it. Glue them in place right here. And then I want to have 2 other slices, but I don't have any that are kind of long enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1 cork and I'm going to slice on either side maybe about 1/4 of that cork. You're going to slice it all the way down. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. And then, of course, I'm going to save that piece for later. Now, both of these, I want to angle cut them so that they come down just to a bit of a tapered point. And I just want to do it roughly the same. So from there to the midpoint. I mean, nobody's going to be measuring whether I was exact on this or not. All right. And these become my wings. So I'm going to put glue on the top of each of these. I'm just going to tuck them up in behind those eyes. Hold them roughly in place. Oh, they're sliding all over. There we go. Let them firm up a little bit. And then I'm going to take two of my bigger googly eyes. I'm hoping you can tell this is an owl. And we're just going to take a drop of glue, and I like it to be right in the center here, right on the center of the body, right on the edge of those big eyes. And if you had bigger googly eyes, you could do that if you wanted to. I have this size or massive. Okay, that one got too much glue all over it. And that is a darn cute little owl. Now, again, because I'm using this for the Christmas tree, I want to add a bit of twine. I just got this cute little red, green, and white twine. And I'm going to stick it up in here. If it would stop sticking to my fingers. There we go. Push that in place. And now I'm just going to add a little bit of greenery to him. Now for this next one, we are going to take discs, but they are actually quarters of our cork. So we cut this in half and then each of those pieces in half so that they're a little bit chunky. And all we're going to do is glue them into a triangular shape. So no big surprise on this one, I don't think, that we are ultimately forming a Christmas tree. Now, for this, what I like to do is usually your corks are very similarly colored throughout, but you will have the one end that's a little bit dark from maybe sitting against the wine or oxidizing in the air. And I like to put that dark end up to form the trunk of the Christmas tree. And now all that we need to do is to attach our ribbon, some greenery, maybe pop in some berries into, you know, those little spots, whatever you happen to have. And then we end up with a cute little Christmas tree. All right, here are our little cork projects. So our little tree ornaments. So first, I don't think it was first, but that we made, but first up are these little mice. So these are just adorable. Having these just nestling into the tree all over the place, I think are super sweet. But they're also cute to just use as present toppers, any of these, you know, just adding as a little decoration onto the present. So we have our little mice, which are adorable. I love the whiskers. And then we have, of course, our big deer, reindeer, moose. What does he end up being? he's just super cute. And I added the bow in front. I forgot I was going to do that. And then I had a hard time finding small ribbon. So probably not my color of choice, but you know what? On the tree, it's not going to matter. So we've got this guy. We have our little owl. And I got to tell you, I like him too. Just, again, it's all in the cuts and those little ears. Just pieces from the mouse, right? So that's why I did the mouse first, so that I would have some of these pieces for his ears. And that's one of the things to kind of bear in mind. And you could go even wilder with his eyes, because you could buy even bigger googly eyes to put on there. You can have them cross-eyed, you can have them going out, you can have them looking to the side. I mean, this guy you get to personalize in a lot of respects. We then did the little wreaths, which again, do not take a lot of cork, because it's 6 pieces and I usually get about 12 slices per cork. So these do up very quickly and with very little, I guess, material, if you want to look at it that way. But I think all of these are just so personalized and individual that they're very cute if you wanted to have a low-priced item on your table at a market or for a little bazaar. So we have the little wreath, and then we have our little cork Christmas trees. And again, you can vary the look of these depending upon the ribbon and the greenery, whatever little berries you want to add onto them. You could paint the front rounds of the corks if you choose. So you could paint green circles on here and brown circles. It's up to you, whatever you like. I like the natural look, obviously, since I did all of them that way, but you could color them however you want. And in fact, the easiest way to color the cork is if you have ink pads and just stamp it down into the ink pad and you get a little bit of the color on there, and it's kind of the easiest way to go if you were doing that. Okay, second video for the corks. I think this is 5 more ideas. I think that we did 4 ideas, 9 different ideas. Gives you a lot of variety, but I think more than anything, maybe spurs you to start thinking of other animals and how you might do them. Probably I need to do a cat at some point, because I have the dog, I have the mice, I might need a cat. But, you know, a horse and a wiener dog are easy options. The horse is going to be very similar to this. You're just going to add on you know, a bit of a mane and a tail, ditch the antlers, and then this becomes a horse. Just don't do the big red Rudolph nose and you're good to go. Let me know what you think of these ones. Always look forward to your comments, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Until then, take care.